Welcome to Cosmic Whispers, where cosmic mysteries come alive. Your journey beyond the stars begins now. The ocean harbors countless mysteries, but perhaps none as compelling as the mind of the octopus. Beneath the waves, an intelligence evolved that challenges our understanding of cognition itself. These eight-armed invertebrates, separated from humans by over 500 million years of evolution, developed a form of intelligence entirely foreign to our own, a parallel experiment in the evolution of complex thought. When marine biologists first began documenting octopus behavior in the 1950s, they discovered creatures that could solve puzzles, navigate mazes, and recognize individual human faces. These observations contradicted everything science understood about invertebrate cognition. How could an animal, with no backbone, no centralized brain structure as we understand it, demonstrate such sophisticated problem-solving abilities? The common octopus, Octopus vulgaris, can unscrew jar lids, escape through impossibly small openings, and even use tools, cognitive feats once believed exclusive to vertebrates, with complex central nervous systems. Their remarkable abilities extend beyond mere mechanical manipulation. They exhibit genuine curiosity, social recognition, and even what appears to be play behavior. Every great journey starts with a few brave explorers. Right now, Cosmic Whispers is just beginning, and your support means everything. If you enjoy unraveling the mysteries of the universe, hit subscribe. It's free and it helps us grow this community together. What makes the octopus particularly fascinating is that its intelligence evolved completely independently from our own. While mammalian intelligence developed within the constraints of a centralized brain structure, octopuses took an entirely different evolutionary path. This represents a profound natural experiment. Given different raw materials and different environmental pressures, how many ways can complex intelligence emerge? The octopus brain contains approximately 500 million neurons, comparable to a dog's brain, but organized in a radically different manner. Unlike humans, who concentrate roughly 86 billion neurons primarily in their skull, the octopus distributes its nervous system throughout its body. Only about one-third of octopus neurons reside in the central brain. The rest are distributed throughout the arms, creating what scientists now call a distributed intelligence. Each arm of an octopus contains approximately 40 million neurons and functions with remarkable autonomy. When severed, an octopus arm continues to react to stimuli and even attempts to feed severed food to a mouth that is no longer attached. This distribution of neural control represents an entirely different approach to organizing a nervous system than the centralized model seen in vertebrates. Dr. Jennifer Mather, a comparative psychologist at the University of Lethbridge in Canada, was among the first scientists to recognize that octopuses possess not just reflexive responses, but genuine cognitive abilities. Her groundbreaking work in the 1990s demonstrated that octopuses could solve novel problems and retain learned information, hallmarks of advanced cognition. The octopus presents us with a profound question. Is the vertebrate model of intelligence, a centralized brain processing information from peripheral sensors, the only viable blueprint for complex cognition? Or has the octopus evolved an equally valid but fundamentally different form of intelligence, one that distributes processing power throughout the body? This question cuts to the heart of our understanding of consciousness itself. If intelligence can evolve through such different pathways, how might consciousness manifest in forms we can barely recognize? Our last common ancestor with octopuses lived approximately 750 million years ago, a simple, flat worm with minimal neural complexity. From this humble beginning, two radically different nervous systems evolved. The vertebrate lineage developed a central nervous system with a brain and spinal cord, while mollusks like octopuses evolved distributed nervous systems without such centralization. This evolutionary divergence represents one of the most fascinating natural experiments in cognitive development on our planet. Vertebrates, including humans, evolved along a path of increasing centralization. Our brains became the command centers for increasingly complex bodies, with neural processes concentrated in a protected cavity. This centralization offered advantages in coordinating complex behaviors and eventually gave rise to the remarkable cognitive abilities seen in mammals and birds. Cephalopods, particularly octopuses, took a different evolutionary route. Rather than centralizing neural control, they distributed it. The octopus brain consists of multiple lobes organized around the esophagus, with extensive neural networks extending throughout the body. This distributed system allows for incredible flexibility and parallel processing of information, a fundamentally different architectural approach to intelligence. The vertical lobe in the octopus brain functions somewhat similarly to the hippocampus in mammals, playing crucial roles in learning and memory. Studies have shown that octopuses with damaged vertical lobes struggle to learn from experience, mirroring deficits seen in mammals with hippocampal damage. This suggests that despite taking different evolutionary paths, certain functional neural requirements may be universal for complex cognition. Dr. Clifton Ragsdale, a neurobiologist at the University of Chicago, has been studying the genetic underpinnings of cephalopod nervous systems. His team's research revealed that octopuses possess an expanded family of protocadherins, proteins essential for neural development that allow neurons to recognize and connect with specific partners. Humans share this genetic feature, suggesting a case of convergent evolution where similar traits evolved independently in response to similar selective pressures. The most striking difference between octopus and vertebrate cognition lies in the distribution of neural control. While humans process visual information in their brains, octopuses process some visual information directly in their eyes, which contain their own neural networks. Similarly, each octopus arm possesses sufficient neural complexity to execute basic movements and responses independent of central control. This distributed processing provides octopuses with unique capabilities. Their arms can solve simple problems independently, such as manipulating objects or navigating narrow spaces, without direct central control. This parallel processing approach allows octopuses to coordinate 8 appendages simultaneously, a feat that would overwhelm a centralized system. Evidence suggests that octopuses may have evolved their complex nervous systems in response to the loss of their protective shells approximately 380 million years ago. Without physical protection, they needed exceptional cognitive abilities to survive. The ability to solve problems, recognize threats, and adapt to changing circumstances became essential survival traits. The octopus genome, sequenced in 2015, revealed further surprises. Their genetic code contains extensive RNA editing capabilities, a feature rare in complex animals. This allows octopuses to modify their proteins after genes are transcribed, potentially providing rapid adaptability to changing environments without waiting for genetic mutations to occur over generations. The physical architecture of octopus cognition bears little resemblance to the vertebrate brain. Instead of a single centralized processing unit, the octopus possesses what neurobiologists call a hierarchical nervous system with 3 distinct levels of control working in concert. This unique neural architecture enables a form of intelligence that differs fundamentally from the mammalian model, yet achieves comparable cognitive feats through entirely different mechanisms. At the highest level sits the central brain, consisting of approximately 50 million neurons organized into more than 40 distinct lobes surrounding the esophagus. This central brain coordinates complex behaviors, integrates sensory information, and manages learning and memory. Unlike the mammalian brain with its distinct cortical regions, the octopus central brain features specialized lobes organized by function rather than sensory modality, reflecting its entirely different evolutionary history. The intermediate level consists of large axial nerve cords running through each arm, containing approximately 40 million neurons per arm. These nerve cords function somewhat like local processing centers, coordinating complex movements and interpreting sensory information locally before sending relevant data to the central brain. This arrangement allows each arm to function with remarkable autonomy, while still remaining part of the coordinated whole. At the lowest level, dense networks of neurons embedded in the skin and muscle tissue provide immediate processing of tactile and chemical information. This lowest level can control basic reflexes and movements without input from higher levels, allowing for parallel processing of information across the entire body simultaneously. Dr. Binyamin Hochner of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem has spent decades studying this unique neural architecture. His research demonstrates that this three-tiered system creates what he calls embodied cognition, intelligence that exists not just in a central processing unit, but throughout the physical body itself. In octopuses, thinking and sensing are fundamentally inseparable activities. The distributed nature of the octopus nervous system creates remarkable efficiencies. Each sucker on an octopus arm contains approximately 10,000 neurons and functions as a semi-independent sensory motor unit. With up to 200 suckers per arm, this creates an extraordinary array of sensory motor nodes operating in parallel. This distributed processing solves a fundamental challenge. Controlling 8 flexible appendages with virtually infinite degrees of freedom would overwhelm a centralized control system. This architecture enables extraordinary feats of coordination. When an octopus reaches for an object, it doesn't need to calculate the position of each muscle in each arm, a computationally intensive task that would require massive central processing. Instead, the distributed intelligence allows each arm to adjust its own position locally while following general guidance from the central brain. The octopus visual system further demonstrates this unique architecture. Unlike vertebrates, who process visual information primarily in the brain, octopuses perform significant visual processing directly in their eyes. Each octopus eye contains its own neural network that pre-processes visual information before sending it to the central brain, effectively offloading computational demands from the central processor. Perhaps most remarkably, research by Dr. Tamar Gutnick at the Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology has shown that octopuses can learn to control individual arms for specific tasks, demonstrating that the distributed system remains integrated and capable of targeted learning. This suggests a fluid, adaptable relationship between central control and peripheral autonomy that may represent an entirely different model of cognitive organization. The cognitive capabilities of octopuses extend far beyond basic survival instincts, venturing into territory once considered exclusive to vertebrates with complex central nervous systems. Their problem-solving abilities and tool use provide compelling evidence for advanced cognition emerging from a neural architecture radically different from our own. Laboratory studies have documented octopuses solving multi-step problems with remarkable efficiency. In one classic experiment conducted at the Seattle Aquarium, octopuses learned to open a series of latched boxes to retrieve food rewards, remembering the solution months later without additional training. This demonstrates not just problem-solving ability but long-term memory for specific procedures, a cognitive feat requiring sophisticated neural integration. More impressive still is the octopus's capacity for insight learning, solving novel problems without prior experience through observation and reasoning rather than trial and error. Dr. Jennifer Mather documented octopuses studying a new puzzle briefly before implementing a complete solution on their first attempt, suggesting the ability to mentally model problems before acting, a form of planning previously attributed only to mammals and some birds. Tool use, once considered the exclusive domain of humans and a few mammalian and avian species, is well documented. In octopuses, wild octopuses have been observed carrying coconut shell halves across the ocean floor, assembling them as portable shelters when needed. This behavior, documented by marine biologists from the Museum Victoria in Australia, meets all scientific criteria for tool use, the manipulation of an object not part of the body to extend the physical influence of the individual. In captivity, octopuses demonstrate even more sophisticated tool use. Researchers at the New England Aquarium documented octopuses using water jets to push objects to desired locations, effectively employing water as a tool to manipulate their environment. In another documented case, an octopus at the Center for Marine Sciences in Germany regularly extinguished lights by directing jets of water at the bulbs above its tank, apparently disturbed by the brightness. What makes these behaviors particularly remarkable is that octopuses exhibit them despite lacking cultural transmission mechanisms. While primates and corvids often learn tool use by observing others, octopuses are primarily solitary creatures with short lifespans, limiting opportunities to learn from conspecifics. Their tool use appears to emerge from individual problem-solving, rather than cultural learning, suggesting powerful innate cognitive capacities. Observational learning, the ability to learn by watching others, represents another cognitive domain where octopuses excel despite their asocial nature. In controlled experiments at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, octopuses that observed other octopuses performing specific tasks learned those tasks significantly faster than control subjects, demonstrating sophisticated social learning despite their primarily solitary lifestyle. Perhaps most intriguing is the octopus's ability to engage in what appears to be counterfactual thinking, the ability to model scenarios that differ from reality. When navigating complex environments, octopuses have been observed pausing at decision points, extending arms in different directions before committing to a path. This behavior suggests they may be mentally exploring alternative routes before making decisions, a form of planning that requires abstract mental representation. The neural mechanisms underlying these abilities differ fundamentally from those in vertebrates. While mammalian problem-solving relies heavily on the prefrontal cortex, octopuses achieve similar cognitive outcomes through their distributed neural architecture. This represents a profound case of convergent evolution, different neural solutions evolving to solve similar cognitive challenges. The sensory world of an octopus bears little resemblance to human experience, structured around fundamentally different ways of gathering and processing information. Understanding octopus cognition requires appreciating how their unique sensory adaptations shape their perception and thought processes, creating what philosophers of mind might call a radically different Umwelt, or sensory world. Vision forms a critical component of octopus perception, but their visual system differs profoundly from ours. Octopus eyes evolved independently from vertebrate eyes, a remarkable example of convergent evolution, yet achieved similar sophistication through different mechanisms. While structurally resembling human eyes, octopus eyes contain fundamentally different photoreceptors arranged in a different pattern, leading to unique visual processing. Unlike humans, octopuses cannot perceive color through the same mechanisms we use. Their retinas contain only one type of photoreceptor, which should theoretically limit them to monochromatic vision. Yet, behavioral studies demonstrate they can distinguish between colors. Research from 2016 by Dr. Alexander Stubbs at the University of California, Berkeley, suggests octopuses may perceive color through pupil adjustments that exploit chromatic aberration, effectively turning lens defects into a feature for color discrimination. Even more alien is the octopus's distributed touch sense. While humans concentrate touch receptors in specific body regions, the entire octopus body functions as a touch-sensitive organ with particularly high densities in their suckers. Each sucker operates as an independent chemotactile sensor, capable of both touch and taste. This creates a sensory experience where touch and taste become inseparable, a fundamentally different way of experiencing the world than the separated sensory channels humans possess. This chemotactile sense allows octopuses to taste objects without ingesting them. When an octopus explores an object with its arms, each point of contact simultaneously gathers information about texture, shape, and chemical composition. Dr. Nir Nesh's research at the Rupin Academic Center in Israel demonstrates that octopuses can detect molecules at concentrations as low as 1 part per trillion through their suckers, sensitivity comparable to the most advanced artificial sensors. The integration of these sensory systems creates perception fundamentally different from human experience. While humans primarily build mental models of their environment through vision and process this information centrally, octopuses create distributed representations across their nervous system. Information about an object might be simultaneously processed in multiple locations, texture information in the arm neural networks, visual information in the optic lobes, and chemical information in the chemotactile centers. This distributed processing creates unique challenges for consciousness research. In humans, sensory information converges in specific brain regions, creating what neuroscientists call the binding problem. How different sensory streams unite into cohesive perception. Octopuses may solve this differently, with multiple parallel processing streams that never fully converge in a single location, raising profound questions about the nature of their subjective experience. The octopus sensorium includes capabilities entirely absent in humans. They can detect polarized light, the directional orientation of light waves invisible to human eyes, which provides additional information about their environment. Research from the Marine Biological Laboratory in Massachusetts suggests this ability helps octopuses detect transparent prey and may aid navigation. Perhaps most alien is proprioception, the sense of body position. While humans maintain fixed body maps in their brains, octopuses must manage 8 highly flexible limbs with virtually unlimited degrees of freedom. Their solution involves both central and peripheral control systems working in concert, creating what researchers call dynamic body mapping, an adaptable rather than fixed sense of embodiment. The question of consciousness in non-human animals has challenged philosophers and scientists for centuries, but octopuses present a particularly fascinating case. Their intelligence evolved entirely independently from vertebrates, raising profound questions. Could consciousness have evolved twice on Earth through entirely different neural pathways? And if so, what might this tell us about the fundamental nature of conscious experience? Defining consciousness itself remains one of the hardest problems in science. For humans, consciousness generally encompasses subjective awareness, the feeling of being a self moving through the world. We recognize this in other mammals through behavioral and neurological similarities, but octopuses, with their radically different neural architecture, force us to consider whether consciousness might manifest through entirely different mechanisms. Several lines of evidence suggest some form of consciousness in octopuses. They demonstrate awareness of their surroundings, can plan actions across time, and show individual personality differences consistent with subjective experience. They also exhibit rapid learning, flexible problem-solving, and play behaviors, all traditionally associated with consciousness in vertebrates. Dr. Peter Godfrey Smith, philosopher of science and author of Other Minds, has spent hundreds of hours observing octopuses in the wild. His research documents behaviors suggesting rudimentary self-awareness, including defensive posturing when confronted with their reflections, distinct from their responses to other octopuses. While not conclusive evidence of mirror self-recognition, the gold standard test for self-awareness, these behaviors suggest awareness of self versus other. The Cambridge Declaration on Consciousness, signed by leading neuroscientists in 2012, explicitly included cephalopods among animals possessing neurological substrates complex enough to generate consciousness. This recognition came after studies demonstrated that octopuses experience pain as a subjective state, not merely as reflex. They avoid locations where they previously experienced discomfort, even when significant rewards are offered. Perhaps most compelling is recent research on octopus sleep states. In 2021, researchers at the Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology documented 2 distinct sleep states in octopuses, including an active sleep phase resembling mammalian REM sleep, the state associated with dreaming. During this state, octopus's skin displays rapid color changes, while their eyes move beneath closed lids, suggesting internal experiences occurring independently of external stimuli. What makes octopus consciousness particularly fascinating is its distributed nature. While human consciousness appears centralized in specific brain regions, octopus awareness may exist in a distributed form across their nervous system. This raises profound philosophical questions. Is unified consciousness necessary for subjective experience? Could consciousness exist in a distributed form unlike anything humans experience, The ethical implications are significant. If octopuses possess consciousness emerging from neural architecture completely different from our own, this suggests consciousness may be more common in nature than previously thought. This possibility has prompted several countries, including the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, to legally recognize cephalopods as sentient beings deserving of ethical protection. From an evolutionary perspective, octopus consciousness would represent a remarkable case of convergent evolution, different neural solutions evolving to solve similar cognitive challenges. This would suggest that consciousness isn't a singular evolutionary accident, but may emerge naturally when certain functional requirements for complex cognition are met, regardless of the underlying neural architecture. Philosopher Daniel Dennett has suggested that consciousness may be better understood as a user illusion, a simplified interface through which complex neural processes become accessible to an organism. If correct, octopuses may have evolved their own version of this interface, structured around different sensory priorities and distributed neural processing. The study of octopus cognition stands at the frontier of neuroscience, with implications extending far beyond marine biology. Research into these remarkable creatures is transforming our understanding of how intelligence can evolve and function, while simultaneously inspiring new approaches to artificial intelligence and computational design. The Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole, Massachusetts, represents one epicenter of cephalopod research. There, the cephalopod program integrates genetics, neuroscience, and behavioral studies to create comprehensive models of octopus cognition. In 2022, researchers there successfully mapped the complete connectome, the neural wiring diagram, of the octopus vertical lobe, revealing organizational principles fundamentally different from those found in vertebrate brains. Concurrently, advances in genetic tools have revolutionized cephalopod research. The development of CRISPR gene editing techniques, specifically adapted for cephalopods, now allows scientists to study the genetic basis of octopus neural development with unprecedented precision. This research reveals how different genetic toolkits can produce complex cognition through entirely different developmental pathways. Emerging non-invasive imaging technologies are providing the first glimpses into the functioning octopus brain during problem-solving tasks. Functional near-infrared spectroscopy, adapted for underwater use, now allows researchers to monitor neural activity in freely moving octopuses, revealing how information flows through their distributed nervous system during complex cognitive tasks. Perhaps most revolutionary are the implications for artificial intelligence. Traditional AI architecture has largely mimicked vertebrate neural organization, centralized hierarchical systems processing information sequentially. The octopus offers an entirely different model, distributed processing with semi-autonomous components working in parallel. Computer scientists at the Max Planck Institute for Intelligent Systems have developed new AI architectures directly inspired by octopus neural organization. These systems feature multiple semi-independent neural networks operating simultaneously, with limited central coordination, an approach proving remarkably effective for controlling flexible robotic systems with many degrees of freedom. These octopus-inspired embodied AI systems demonstrate unprecedented adaptability in unstructured environments. The field of soft robotics has particularly benefited from octopus research. Traditional robots struggle with tasks requiring flexibility and adaptability in unstructured environments, precisely where octopuses excel. By mimicking octopus neural control systems, engineers have developed tentacle-like manipulators capable of navigating complex spaces and handling delicate objects with a dexterity previously impossible in robotics. Beyond technology, octopus research carries profound philosophical implications. If sophisticated intelligence evolved twice on Earth through entirely different mechanisms, this suggests intelligence may be a convergent property of evolution, likely to emerge repeatedly, given sufficient environmental complexity and selective pressure. This holds significant implications for astrobiology and the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. suggesting cognitive complexity may develop through diverse pathways on other worlds. The ethical dimensions of octopus research have gained increased attention as evidence of their cognitive sophistication mounts. In 2023, the American Veterinary Medical Association updated its guidelines on cephalopod research, mandating stricter ethical protocols acknowledging their cognitive capacities. This represents a fundamental shift in how science categorizes these invertebrates, recognizing cognitive complexity rather than phylogenetic relationship as the relevant criterion for ethical consideration. Looking forward, integrating insights from octopus cognition with our understanding of vertebrate intelligence promises to enrich both fields. The octopus represents not just an alternative model of intelligence, but a window into the fundamental principles underlying all complex cognition, principles that may transcend the specific neural architectures in which they're implemented. As we continue to unravel the mysteries of the octopus mind, we gain insight not just into one remarkable creature, but into the fundamental nature of intelligence itself, a universal phenomenon manifesting through diverse forms across our planet, and perhaps beyond.